everyone. That's right. It's another episode of your favorite podcast, or at least in the Metro West area. This is Dr. Jeff LaCure. Once again, this is Bros Who Knows. And to my right is the Count Chocula, the Darth Vader, Legend of the Fall, Richard Yancey. And in the mix today, another bro. We're going to find out how much he knows right here, Brian Flynn, who's going to talk with us a little bit about, present an interesting story. We're going to talk about what would you do. Actually, it's kind of cool because 2020 used to do that years ago, right? They would present a situation and say, what would you do? Brian's got a humorous story he wants to share with us. We're all going to jump in, give you the Bros Who Know spin on what would you do. Brian, tell us your story. Let us know what's up.
Well, one of the things is when you go to the gym, you run into a lot of elderly, older people, senior citizens, and they travel for the winter. All right, but everybody likes to go to Florida, especially Naples these days, with the Red Sox being in Fort Myers. It's a quick drive. It's a nice town. And you'll see some gym bros, fellow gym bros there. Do you socialize with them? Or do you just pretend that they don't exist and just say, my schedule is too tied up? So we have a fellow member. His name is Harry. And Harry is going to be at the same hotel as one of his golfing buddies up here is going to be. Now, Harry and his wife had a surprise birthday party for Harry one time. And, well, lo and behold, the two people that are going to be there at the same place, they showed up too early and ruined the surprise party. So they've been carrying a grudge for, we'll call it 20 years now, since the man is now 70 years old instead of 50. And they're all going to be in the same hotel at the same time. So what Harry has decided to do is the 2 days that they're crossing over, he's going to check into a different hotel 3 miles up the road. And he doesn't drink and drive. And so he's going to not be able to get together with them. And then he's going to check back into the hotel that he's with. It's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. Would you suck it up and just, have a couple drinks with them at the hotel, or would you try to avoid them?
Well, I have a couple of questions. So, Harry, you called him, right? Okay, we're all friends, so I know. So he did this because of his wife, though. It wasn't because he didn't want to see his buddy. He did it because he didn't want to complicate things with his wife, right? That's a story that I heard.
I think as married couples, there's bros who hang out with other bros but they don't hang out as couples. I think this falls into that box.
Okay, all right. All right, well, what do you think about that, Jeff?
Well, I know what my gut is that, I'm obviously going to pay attention to my wife's feelings about it, and notice I didn't say but. All couples have to find a balance between their buddies, right, and their relationship, and both should be able to support each other, meaning our buddy's got to realize, hey, our wife is our wife. We go to bed with her every night. Sometimes we enjoy it. And also that, she's got to realize these are our friends, right? This is a friend of mine.
Oh, my God. So you taking a 50-50 on this, Jeff?
Not necessarily 50-50. No, I want to hear a little bit more about it. But it does seem silly to have booked a separate hotel. That's kind of my thought.
Jeff,
I don't know if I would have done it.
That's what weasels do.
Yeah.
Men do not run away from their problems.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
So he should have had an initial conversation with him once he found out that his friend was going to be at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then say, listen, he's going to be at the hotel. There's not, that's it. That's the reality of the situation. Now it all depends on what we're going to do next. Do you want to go at least one time out, or you don't want to go out with them at all? Now if he says one time out, then you got that. Now if he says no time out, then now you know what you're going to do next. So then you call up your friend, like, listen, I know you're going to be here,
Mm-hmm.
right? I talked to my wife. We have one day, we can go out one time that I'm available. It's up to you, because he could have the same problem. Talk to your wife, see if you guys want to go out one time. Now, if he goes and they say yes, then that's yes. And if he doesn't say no, then you don't see him. But I'm not running. I'm not hiding.
No, definitely don't run and hide. You give
Well,
up your man
you
card.
gave it a 50-50, so you want to read. Okay, how
No,
about this?
it's-
Let's restart it. What would you do?
No, again, I think it's important to take into account the wife's feelings, right? That's what I'm saying, is take it into account, but
Well,
it
you have to
doesn't.
ask her. What would you ever said? What would you do? So what would you do?
I would let her know. It wouldn't be like I'd be like, come in and go, this is how it's gonna be, but I would say, in a nicer way, this is how it's gonna be.
No. I said this is how it's going to be as far as he's going to be in that hotel. That's it. Like
Yeah.
he's going to be in that hotel. What you do next is up to you guys got to discuss that.
Yeah, I'm certainly not changing my hotel. Brian, did I understand that right, that there was a
Yeah,
hotel?
he's changing the hotel.
Yeah, I'm
What
not,
would you do, Brian? Because
Yeah.
because this is like he's like one of the men at the gym. He's like a true guy.
and actually, Brian, you're a Wiley marriage vet too, so,
29
Who'd you-
years and 7 months today.
who's
Yes.
counting?
Who's counting? But it always
And,
falls
and
on
just for the
Terry.
record, Brian has a beautiful wife, and she's sweet, and she's like an angel.
And
she's like all
I
the
gotta
above.
share too, now Richie, this is no disrespect to you, because black is your color, but Brian, you're in all black today, which
Yes.
makes me, no, but it makes me nervous, man, because you look like you're at a funeral. That's all I'm saying. And when you said 29 years and 7 months, I was like,
No, he's happy.
no, I'm teasing
Yeah, I
about
know.
it. No, I have great respect for that.
But this might be the end of the podcast after having me on, so I dress as prepare for the funeral. That's all.
So what would you do, Brian?
I think the key is you have to prepare. Prepare your wife, saying, "We're going to run into them at the hotel. We're probably going to have a drink with them. Is that okay with you?" And then they're not going to say no. They're gonna compromise if they're a good partner and
That's
say
right.
okay. Harry thinks he's the man right now because
Harry.
he decided that by getting the hotel room, he's taken that out of play. Which to me, we all have social obligations that we don't want to do, or we're not looking forward to. But this is pretty painless,
And it's a friend of yours.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to be
Right.
spending 48 hours with them, But sometimes this stuff kind of happens. I think you have to let them know up front that you're probably going to run into them and see them. Last year, the same issue happened where there's a guy who stays down there, and Harry was like, "Oh, I got to get together with him. I see him enough up here." And I kind of get that, but you just get together with them and just say, "Hey, we're in a different place. Isn't it great that we're have the opportunity or able to travel to a beautiful place and we get to see each other? You're not complete strangers,
No, I get that, but again, this is the problem that I have. Harry,
Yes.
Right. He can make any decision he wants, but he has to own up to it as a man. Like he has to tell his wife, if he doesn't want to see the person, listen, I love you to death, brother, but I'm here with my wife and I'm going to be with my wife. Now, if he takes it a certain way, that's okay. But what thing you don't want to do? What happens when they bump into each other and he finds out that he went to a different hotel? It's
And
going
he
to make
will
him feel
find
bad.
out. Everybody finds out.
Right, so he's going to feel, I'm telling you, now you just made his friend feel
I think.
bad for no
hey,
reason.
hey, look.
And here's another thing. Here's one more thing. When you do that, you're being a weasel, right? So now you don't have that self-worth. Wouldn't you want your wife to respect you as a man, that you confront problems instead of run away from problems? I don't know. You could continue on that.
Me, I take things head on. Sometimes you got to give bad news.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to face facts, and sometimes facts and honesty hurts. But somebody will respect you more than hiding and being a weasel about it. Like if you're not into something, I get it, but you have to say something. Don't just say, I'll see you on the golf course. We have a busy schedule. And just
Right.
tell the guy. Just say, look, we're gonna be really busy. I know we have a lot of things going on. Leslie wants to do this, and this, and Tracy wants to do this, and this, and I don't know if we're going to be able to see you, but if we do, we'll get together. And you're not giving somebody hope, but you're being upfront with them that that's the way it is.
And that's the key. So what do you think about that, Jeff? Being upfront with people
Oh, I
instead of
think-
hiding and deception and all that. other stuff.
Yeah, don't hide behind ambiguity, right? Be upfront.
Well, because
Be transparent.
now you just made the problem worse.
That's right.
So now the lies. Now you have to lie
Yeah,
about
right.
the lie about the lie. So what did he gonna tell his friend? We should ask that to Harry. So what did he tell his friend when his friend's like, "How come you were at the hotel?" Now he has to make up another lie. Unless you're going to be honest then and say, listen, I knew you were there, so I had to spend more money to get away from you.
Well, my first problem is he's not staying in the right place to begin with. So this wouldn't have been a problem if you'd taken my advice. I told him to stay at the Naples Grand. You got Clam Pass Beach right there. It's a great place. Nope. He decided he needs to be on Fifth Ave in Naples, which I personally avoid like the plague. It's
Look
a
at that,
tourist
see.
trap.
There you
So,
go.
I've been going there for 24 years, so I can.
You can talk about it.
Yeah, I own property. I used to own property there, so I'm a complete, know-it-all regarding that. So.
So you have anything to add to that? So so what would you do? So I'm gonna put you in the corner. What would you do?
If I'm Harry, if
Good thing we got an edit button, right? Because I already outed Leslie.
Oh my God! Did you just do that?
well, I was thinking Tom, Dick, or Harry. You know? Yeah, I
Okay,
went
go.
old school. I felt like I was back in third grade. Yeah.
So what would you do?
I
So
think,
okay, how about this? Not the psychologist.
well, I
as
tell
a
you, I
human
had
being, what would
I
you
had
do?
maybe similar. Factually a little different. Years ago, I went down to Florida, right, with my wife, and at that time I had all 4 kids. Had to think, man, it was a while ago. And one of my good buddies lives down there, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And I let him know I was coming down. He said, "Oh, we should definitely get together for a night." And so I didn't do an ask, right? Ask is interesting. I didn't inform, right? That I haven't seen Andrew in a long time. And once you have to justify something, it's over, right? You don't need to justify something. I said, however, I think we were down there for a week, rented a really nice place, and I said, I'd love to hang out with him. It was a inform kind of thing, right? But I also let him know that I was going to not seek approval, not ask permission. However, I did share with my friend, if it creates a kind of a friction, I may not get together with you because I got to go home with her and then divorce her 10 years from down the road. I think that's exactly what happened, right? So it was a precursor. Now you know why I got divorced. I never should have seen that guy. But boy, did we have a great time. That's a whole different podcast, right? So we did not go to church that evening. But long story short, Richie, when you asked what would you do, it's an informed.
Well, did you see him?
Oh, I absolutely did.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you want to hear the irony too, just as a quick side note? His wife, whom he's now divorced from, was pissed, right? Was pissed
That's
that
crazy
he was
to
going to
me.
get together with me. I think it was a Friday night, and it was, they hadn't done date night in a while. Have a clue. That's what I want, have a clue.
But that's crazy.
Your buddy you haven't seen your buddy in a long time, right? Love is never about sacrifice, but at times you compromise,
Right.
right? And
So so you haven't seen this guy in a long time, and his wife was mad about you.
oh, she gave him such grief. Like,
That's
how could you
crazy.
do that?
Well, so here's the thing. So tell
Yeah.
about Harry. Harry went to a couple of women at the gym, and then what kind of response did he get?
Yeah, they have his back.
No.
Yeah, they did.
You can't defend the indefensible.
Yeah.
No, but he did though. He went to one of the women on the treadmill.
Who called him the sexiest man, by the way, in the gym. He's been flying high as a kite since then.
Yeah, because
okay.
because of what he did by changing, not physically, he's the sexiest guy at the gym, but what he did. No, that's seriously.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
he did by changing the hotel for his wife,
Yeah.
she found that sexy.
I believe that. I could see how a woman
But a
would
lot
be
of
thrilled.
women, his wife, what does his wife say?
I think she was very happy about the fact that he did it. But this is a classic men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Guys are like, I have a buddy of mine. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. So last summer, he was down in Naples. He owns a place down there. He's like, meet me here for a drink. And as I said, I was like, boy, it's a commitment. I got to travel 10 miles up to go see him. Boy, I saw him. It was like the 20 years just melted away. We were never unfriendly. We just lost touch because we stopped working together. It was the best time. Like I was calling other people I had lost touch with. It was like a catalyst to talk to other people because people come and go in your life. And one of the key things is sometimes you realize why you like that person. It gives you reaffirmation. Where I think, Tom could go out with them, and Harry
And Dick.
and you could sit there with his wives, and she could say, you know what, Harry, he is a really good guy. I'm sorry I felt that way. I'm sorry I put you through, the effort of having to switch hotels because
And
I
he
was
paid more
reluctant.
money. And he paid more money at the hotel.
Oh, I bet he did.
Money's not an option to him, though.
I understand it, but still, to spend more money. Well, he is, the guy that we talk about is pretty conservative with his.
The dude's got a lot of cash?
But he's conservative with his, yeah.
All right, because what I was thinking is, Brian, you got to slide over. We're going to bring Harry in too.
He won't come.
All right. No, I'm just saying, we're having fun.
Oh, we'll definitely.
I'm going to have him fund the program.
He
You gotta
won't.
have him on there. He'd be the perfect debater with you too.
Yeah,
No, he's going to pass away without the most money on the planet.
yeah, great. All right.
I don't know. I know one of his stock holdings. It's not good.
Well, here's the thing I throw out to both of you, right? And I say this to clients all the time, and I try to practice it,
Right.
Which is, as soon as a guy asks for permission, you need to inform, and it's okay. Like I'll
See,
give you an example.
Now you just changed position. This is what I wanted you to say in the
But see,
beginning.
this is for years, right? In previous relationships, I've had a group of guys I play poker with, probably averaged once a month. I never said, "Hey, do you mind?" Because that's not what a relationship is about. I informed. This Friday or 2 Fridays from now, poker's going to be going. Do we have anything going? Did I miss something? But never.
That's better.
How do you feel? Is it okay?
That's better.
And nor did I expect that from my partners to ask me for permission.
So again,
But give me notification.
So that's a good point. So what would I? So here's the deal, right? If I was in a situation where the roles were reversed,
Mhm.
right? The person I'm with already knows. The more, the merrier. I'm not.
Right.
And besides, this is the honest to God truth about how I feel. I want her to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So if seeing her friend make her happy, I'm in.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you something. If she came up to me and was like, "Look, I'm not going to tell my friend, and we're just going to go to a different hotel," I would call her a weasel too. I'm like, "Why would you do that to your friend? Like, don't do that."
Right.
I mean, like, why wouldn't you want to see your friend? Don't ever, always be honest to
Absolutely.
your friend on how you feel, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You want to be honest about it, because if you don't, 4 years from now, 3 months from now, 10 years from now, it could be brought up and thrown in your face.
That's right.
Agreed? I don't know.
I 100% agree. I think that as the key to success in a relationship, when you've been married a long time, is communication. Everyone's, the communication is broke down. As long as you try to get on the same page, you might not agree with somebody. I think one of the most frustrating things in a relationship, and we've all been there, is where you 100% don't agree with what your spouse or partner is saying, but in order to keep the peace, you have to keep that united front. And I think that the communication where you sit there and say, well, that I didn't agree with you, but I stuck by you for this part, where Harry's wife could say, I don't agree that we have to see them, but I'm glad that we did because it will make you happy.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah,
That's
great.
perfect.
Because that's what you want to do. You want your partner to be happy.
That's right.
I tell you something. I'm a yes person. I don't like to say no. I only said no to one, and hopefully he might be listening. One time I said no to my friend, and I'm gonna tell you what it was. It's funny because I never say no. A buddy of mine who I love this guy. He's like my brother to me. He's like, Rich, you have this Breitling, the Breitling, the Breitling watch.
Yes.
He's like, I love that watch, Rich. And I'm like, listen to him. I'm like, okay. He's like, look, I want to buy that from you. And I was going to sell it to him, too. He's like, I'll buy it at the time. He's like, I'll give you $10,000 for it, but I'll pay you $100 a month.
Oof.
And I said, no. And I love saying yes.
Yeah, right. That's
I love saying yes, but that was so
that's out there.
ridiculous.
That's 8 years,
Put
man.
it on layaway.
That was so
Put it on layaway.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? That I had to say no. So that's why. So that's how ridiculous something has to be before I say no.
That's right.
Okay.
Car
'Cause I want
loans,
people.
car loans are shorter than that.
That was 8 years. That was an 8-year note, no interest.
No interest. Just.
That's tough.
But what I'm saying is, that I'm telling. That's how far out you have to be for me to say no.
And if it breaks, is he going
He
to
might-
pay you?
All right, well, he's gonna have to pay me.
This thing needs servicing. It
But
costs
I'm
me $400 to service.
Right. Like.
I'm not paying
It's all,
you.
yeah. It's almost like that thing don't do
Right.
business
But what I'm
for
saying, it
free.
has to be that outrageous, ridiculous for me to say no.
Right.
Otherwise, I hate to say yes because I don't mind being inconvenienced for the people that I love.
Right. And you're
Right?
a solution-oriented guy.
Yeah, I'm telling
right?
you know. So people always say, "Well, that's out of my way," blah blah blah. But when you have friends that you love, you always go out of your way for the people that you love.
Absolutely.
Right?
Speaking
It
of
makes
which,
you a happier person too.
let me throw this out to both of you,
Uh-oh,
see
here we
what you
go.
think, because this is I want to follow up on that in an interesting kind of transitional way, because I just experienced it.
Okay.
Just so interesting as a shrink that it happened in my own life. I truly, you don't have to agree with me, but I'd be curious what you think,
Okay.
right? All of us have been in long-term relationships, and Brian, God love you, you still are. Trust me. When I do my teaching, I always make fun of
We should do a
long-term
little
relationships,
bio
but
on
great,
him.
but
He's,
great respect. I mean that sincerely. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
continue to tease you, but great respect for it. I really do. I really have found and grown as a man to realize, and I kind of realized the tough way, our primary role with our partners, and there's a lot of it, right? Love, unconditional respect, a lot of stuff, is to provide them a grace and a space that creates safety for them to be vulnerable with us. And that is profoundly powerful. And when women feel like they can share exactly, I'm not talking finger pointing, I'm not talking about being nudgy with us, but to share the vulnerable parts of themselves with us, they feel incredibly connected. And from what a lot of men have had to learn, and Brian, you were sort of highlighting this a little bit when you talked about good communication, is do we as men want to be right, and you know what the punchline is, or do we want to be close? And I have found that when we as men create an environment for the women we love most of all, a place for them to be emotionally vulnerable without judgment, right? They feel incredibly close to us. When they don't feel that, right, they feel very removed and distant. And as men, when we feel that our partners are distant, we have interesting reactions to it. So what do you guys think about that? That one of our primary roles as men for the women we love is to provide an atmosphere for them to feel safe enough to be vulnerable with us.
Men do that organically. Real men do that organically. He does
Real
that
men, yes.
organically. And I'll say, so I'll tell you how you do it. You do it by listening and not judging the situation.
That's right.
Because, here's the deal. All of us have our own way of doing things, right?
That's right.
But that's our way of doing things. We have our own coping mechanisms. That's our coping mechanism. But we know, as men, that everyone has different types of coping mechanisms.
That's right.
And certain things that won't bother me will bother you or you. But we understand that as men. So when someone is used to telling you stories, and just because you might think that's ridiculous, that's the most stupidest thing I ever heard in my life, you don't say that.
That's right.
What you do is you acknowledge that they're going through it with that, and then if they ask you, I only do it when they ask. If they ask for your opinion, then I will give it a light opinion on that. But women mostly want you to listen. What do you think about it?
One of the points you made, perfection is the thief of happiness, right? So if they want to show that they're imperfect or that they feel vulnerable, it's huge. We've all been in those conversations where you're listening and you're like, look, you're making eye contact and we're all selfish. Everyone's selfish. Like, can this be over? Because this is not a problem. But to them, it really matters, and you have to show the vulnerability. I have a friend of mine. He's getting divorced after 25 years. And his wife is like a cat. The good news is she doesn't need him. The bad news is she doesn't need him.
Yeah.
And one of his complaints
Good
was,
example, yeah.
one of his complaints is she never will show vulnerability. Her ego is so big that
Yeah.
she can't, and because of that, she's cold toward me. And it's one of the key reasons it's breaking down their marriages. He needs intimacy.
Absolutely.
He's a great-looking guy. He needs to be told he's the man.
Absolutely.
We need to be told that too.
That's right.
You need gratitude, and basically, his biggest complaint is she's never vulnerable. She never thanks me. And thanking
Right.
somebody's vulnerable. Like,
Right.
You're providing for me and our two sons. Where it's like, well, you're doing your job, I'm doing my job, and I really don't need you. And that has been the
Kryptonite.
Yes, that's
the
it.
irreversible breakdown of their marriage. Is that because they're
Wow.
both resentful of one another.
That's kryptonite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Resentment. Bottom line, and a lot of research coming out. I always bring up that social scientist in me. Be interested in what you guys think about this, and I bet you've lived it, but I don't want to be overly predictive here. The two things that men seem to need consistently, we need more than two things in our primary relationships, is we need to feel appreciated and we need to feel respected. And when we have respect and admiration, not for mowing the lawn, but for being a really good guy and for doing what we do, right? We will do anything for our partner. But if we feel disrespected or underappreciated, right, that is kryptonite to a man. And then we start going into other areas. What do you guys think about that?
I think,
Respect
well,
and
that's-
admiration.
well, that's not even happening now until the men, the young generation, men are not receiving that at all. They're not motivated to do anything because, what women fail to understand, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me or not, but men, they chase after power because of the women. You take the women, if you take that out, there's nothing, there's no motivation for men.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing today in the generation. Like they're not masculine anymore because that's the whole thing. So when you go into a gym and you go into, when women are like, oh, this guy's a creep, this guy's this, blah, 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 like we talked about last podcast, right?
Yeah.
It kind of like the guys don't want to do anything. You know what I mean? So, women don't understand it. So when women get power, right? So I don't know what their end game is. So when women have power, I hate to change this. I'm just going to change this for a little bit. When women get power, they're like, okay, I get buy the big house. I don't even know if they care about the car. But what's their end game? That's why we don't understand that. When men get power, we want the woman. All right? We get the power, we want the woman, and then the house and everything else. And, but it's the woman.
Absolutely.
You take that out, we're not motivated.
I see
What do you think, Brian?
a lot of women, I see marry for security. They don't marry because they genuinely like the person. I think in order to be successful in a marriage, you have to genuinely
Good
like the
point.
person. You can't 180 from, let's say you had somebody that was needy, suffocating, controlling, and then go to the opposite direction where it's all about them. They don't really care about you. Being alone is better than being in those type of relationships where you're rebounding back and forth. And I think that most marriages that dissolve, the divorce is driven by women. They're the ones that do the filing. Guys can put up with a lot. They do.
Yeah, it's true.
But we do as well. But they'll keep it, and it has nothing to do with financial. It's just they
We
Right.
don't want to fail.
they don't
Right.
want to fail.
It's
Men
true.
don't want to fail. So
True.
they'll go, look, we were taught to go down with the ship.
Yeah. I've
Right.
gone down 3 times.
There was a model. There was a model. I think it was Jennifer O'Neill. I think she'd been married 7 or 8 times, and the joke was she doesn't date. She just marries.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this as we wrap a little bit too. What do you think about that? Does that resonate with you? Do you feel? I don't want to make it overly personal, but when I mentioned that the research is highlighting that when men feel respected and appreciated, they are connected and are willing to be invested in the relationship. Without it, they're not. What's your gut on that? What's been your experience on that?
Absolutely. Like nothing's gets you feeling better than when you get affirmation from your partner.
Right.
I have a friend of mine. Their marriage broke down. He was crazy. She didn't have sex with him for a year.
Mm-hmm.
He announced, "My wife hasn't given me sex in a full year." And I said to my wife, I said, "You know what? Part of it is her fault. Not much, but you got to pretend you like this guy as a giver. He doesn't cheat on you. He doesn't beat on you. He's OCD and he's a little nutty. But you got to show him you like him for 15 minutes once a month."
Yeah, right.
How many you got? 168 hours in a week and
Yeah.
672 hours in a month, give
Yeah.
or take.
Yeah, 15.
We're asking for 15 minutes, so that's a quarter of that. So.
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Brian. All right, because I've known you for years.
Yep.
And I met your wife at a different gym.
Mm-hmm.
She's always proud, like she's been, she always talks very highly of you at the gym. Right? She's a beautiful woman, great personality. She's an angel.
Yep.
Right? How'd you make that work? Because I'm telling you, it's hard. Most beautiful women are usually insecure. A lot of them are.
Mm-hmm.
She's very secure. Right? She knows what she wants. Obviously, she wanted to be with you because she's with you. What did you do to stay in this marriage this long? Like, what in your mind, like, if you could tell other people that are married, what did you do that's different than most guys?
We just have a lot in common, and we communicate, and we talk. Like, someone said, well, this was like 15 years ago. People would ask me, what made it successful? Because we speak. Like, I can sit there. I don't need the TV.
Mm-hmm.
I can start a fire. She can pour herself a glass of wine. When I drank, I'd pour myself a scotch or two, and he would talk about the week. And, you know, we were always on the same team. Like, I had couple sons. You know, we still didn't let that, when you have babies, women don't feel as good about themselves. Guys are tired because they're working. I'd be out of the house 13 hours a day because I was traveling to Burlington or Boston to work. And every summer when they would be home, right around our anniversary, she would hit the wall because the kids would just drive her crazy. And I think that if you don't have date nights, if you don't have nights for yourselves, babysitters are a great investment.
Absolutely.
Because you have to still date.
Absolutely.
If you're not dating and staying on the
Listen
same
to this.
page,
Listen to this, guys.
you are not fulfilling your relationship. It doesn't matter. You have to like each other. And you know what? Stay off social media. It's
It's a killer.
like
Killer.
I know you guys were talking last week about women, and there's just the reason is there's too many choices out there. Remember when they were growing up? You had 5 TV stations, and
Yeah, right.
like you watch let's say you watch Good Times. I watched last
Good
Saturday.
time. That was my favorite.
But it
Classic.
doesn't hold up the test of time when you watch it. Or MASH. This entertained me 40, 50 years ago
Right.
because there's so many different options, and with too many options, you're not going to be happy.
That's right.
So if let's say they go on Tinder or whatever they use, Hinge, and all these guys going out after them. So for every, what is it, the top 10% of guys who get 90% of the outreach?
Top 5.
Top 5.
Top 5 get 90% of it.
Whereas, you're
Alpha dogs.
you're the women, everybody's reaching out to them
That's
because
right.
the supply is so short for the guys that they'll be happy. Whereas everybody's coming after girls, so they can't pick Tom, Dick, or Harry. And the organic way of meeting people, church, bars,
Jim.
anywhere, you're not being a creep. A friendly smile is
Right.
Believe me, it's like I see girls at the gym. They're pretty, and I'm happy the way I'm content with who I am and what I am. And you know what? The grass isn't always greener except by the septic tank. We know what that's for.
That's
right?
a good point. Well,
That
I
was
tell you
pretty
what
good.
let's wrap with that. This has been a blast.
Oh,
right?
unbelievable.
This has been a blast, and to everybody out there, we're going to do this again. We're going to bring our honorary bro, Brian, back to continue to have some interesting.
The last of the real men.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that's a real avenue for us to go down to talk about, alpha dogs and real men and masculinity and all of that because, and you guys have heard it. Rich and I have done a lot of podcasts together, and we talk a lot about the diminishment of masculinity, and that's not good. It's not good for our society. It's really not good for families, and quite frankly, it's pretty awful for women. So. I guess, we got 2 dudes in black and a dude in pink. It doesn't get any more masculine than that. I'm sorry, I had to be
Especially the guy with the pink who's feeling secure about it.
I'm just like, I'm total pink, man. I'm going to catch some grief on that one, and I absolutely love it. Hey, this is Dr. Jeff LaCure, and on behalf of the big dog himself, the alpha male, the Dark Knight, Richard Yancey, and our special guest today, Brian Flynn, honorary bro who knows. We love you. We're going to see you all real soon. And please reach out to us with any programming ideas. And more importantly, right, you heard the 3 of us bring up some stuff, and we stand behind what we say. If you'd like to ever come in and add to it or even debate us, the door is open. We'll see you real soon.